Well, never a dull day in British Columbia. Some of the big news is what took place at the Vancouver Provincial Courthouse yesterday. And that was when Dallas Brodie, she is the MLA for the Vancouver Quilchena riding, as well as the One B.C party leader, says it was time to take matters in her own hands. So she went to the courthouse to file a private prosecution against the lady. If you scroll down a little bit there, her name is Charlotte Cates. In case you're not familiar with her, she's the international coordinator, so a leader for a terrorist entity. Even Canada, it seems almost reluctantly went ahead and did that after much concern, but it's not the only country to deem that organization as a terrorist entity. And Cates was charged. It was 16 months ago, actually, where she was caught on video, leading a crowd into praising the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack. She was denying that other terrorist groups are terrorist groups. This is the same organization that most people will know about from the protests that they had that were burning Canada's flag, chanting death to Israel, death to the United States, death to Canada. So I always say anti-Israel, but anti-Canada as well. But the point here is that the Vancouver police did recommend charges last year, two different hate charges, and the BC Prosecution Service has done nothing. So Dallas Brodie claims that she has asked, as have other people I've seen as well. I know there's been pressure from Jewish groups for NDP Nikki Sharma, our Attorney General, to take actions, and she is actually supposed to sign off on this case. And so they always talk about standing against hate with the NDP, but they've done nothing this long, despite all the pushback. So Dallas Brodie, who's a former criminal defense lawyer herself, went to the courthouse, and this is a little bit, I think we have a clip of what it looked like.
Yeah, let's definitely show that.
Yeah.
This is the intimidation, right, deployed by these individuals. I mean, it's still, if you had any doubts in your mind before, I mean, here it is in your face just yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about my filming there. During O Canada, of course. So you had a line of the VPD up there as well, but let's point out they're singing "Oh Canada." Like there's no respect at all. You can't hold your protests out of respect for the country that you live in, whether you were born there or not. They can't do that at all. There's always this contrast that I see between the pro-Israel people, sort of paying tributes, if we will, to the country. But also you see the Marxist overlap between the groups. If you look at the signs, the same people who are so against this pro-terror person being prosecuted in British Columbia are also holding signs saying that, denying Palestinians is also the same as residential school denialism, because it's the same message. They want everybody to believe that Canada is this colonial state and doesn't have the right to exist, as well as we rename names, we rename spaces. So it's this overlap, but nevertheless, Dallas Brodie did go inside and file and get it stamped. And in about 60 days, she'll hear when her hearing is, sort of in some ways bypassing Nikki Sharma for now.
Yeah, and Dallas Brodie, I mean, I'm sure she was anticipating some of this, but was it just me? Did she look a little bit shocked there?
Well, I think, she's a politician. She claims that in her writing, she's had a lot of people reach out with concerns about this issue. So she was there to be professional and have a professional, conference. They did have some of their own security, but I think once you're in the mix and you see it, you might identify with this as well. Like we didn't sign up to be treated this way when we're out in the field as well. So you have that feeling like this is so weird to have so many people so angry about you when you're standing up for something good, fighting terrorism. And I should say Nikki Sharma, since yesterday, has come out and given a statement here. And I found this quite ironic. She gave the statement to, I believe it was the CBC, and she says, that Brodie's private prosecution appears to fall under federal jurisdiction as opposed to the jurisdiction of the BC Prosecution Service. I'm sorry, it's been like a year and a half, and you are well aware of this file. And now you're going to sit there when there's attention on it to this degree, and you're going to say, oh, it might not even fall under BC, when the BC Prosecution Services hasn't even said that and isn't saying that when they get asked about the delay. They're like, it's still under review. So it's just, yeah.
Well, and I note too, I liked this post from Dallas Brodie, and I'm just going to share it so we can show it on screen before we get to this one super chat that just came in, where CTV was reporting. I'm trying to pull up the headline here.
And can we also show their quick video? We have a full report coming up at deporthamas.com. But what I put up so far didn't have any audio. So after you're done this, let's just show their quick video from their party.
Yeah, well, so their headline here from CTV News, Vancouver, was BC MLA files private prosecution alleging terrorism, gets shouted at by Palestinian protesters. But in there, they said, notably, neither the Premier nor the Attorney General has the power to lay charges in BC, in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. That power rests with the BC PS, I assume that's the police service. And Dallas Brodie retweeted this. She took screenshots, retweeted this, and then she said, sorry, CTV, Attorney General Nikki Sharma does have the power to direct a prosecution under the Crown Counsel Act. She just doesn't want to prosecute terrorists. I do, and I will. And then part of the screenshot she shares in there is part of that act where it clearly outlines that the AG does have the authority to do this. So it's just funny, like the mainstream media, they'll say, oh, you're misinformation, you need to be fact checked and all of these things. And now at least we have one platform where you can share freely and widely the fact checking of the supposed holy grail of truth and fact, the mainstream media, because they seem to be more and more guilty of the very thing they try to accuse others of doing.
Absolutely. And I think what's happened here is triggering action. I think that's the big win. Whether or not the private prosecution will be successful, I think the biggest challenge of that is the fact that, a judge could look at this and say, well, this matter is, although it is interesting how delayed it is under review of the BC Prosecution Services. So, what do you want me to do? But it does certainly show inaction on behalf of the BC government. Let's just show that clip from the party itself with the audio, which was a little bit about what was said.
For One B.C, we're going to start the press conference now.
My name is Dallas Brodie. I'm the leader of One B.C, and I won't have a terrorist attack on my conscience here in BC, here in Canada. And if the NDP, David Eby, Nikki Sharma will not prosecute terrorism, I will. Last year at a Samudoon rally at the Vancouver Art Gallery, speakers wearing masks chanted, "Death to Canada, death to the United States," and a Canadian flag was burned. At this same rally, materials were distributed instructing people on how to organize a mass coordinated terrorist attack. So what has happened since then? Nothing. Zero has happened since then. NDP Attorney General Nikki Sharma.
Yeah, it actually makes me like my stomach is turning hearing those words and knowing that those are the kinds of things that are proliferating and allowed. And I mean, because through that allowance are ultimately being enabled on our streets. Like it actually makes me feel sick and nauseous to hear that.
And the fact that people are coming up to protest against this in Vancouver, that is so sickening, so disturbing. Everything's flipped backwards here.